To Nashville, Tennessee.
On the day after the election, Republicans and Democrats share cheers and tears.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Max Robinson in Chicago, Peter Jennings, who is on assignment, special reports from Barbara Walters, and tonight a comment from Howard K. Smith. Now from New York, Frank Reynolds.
Good evening. Nearly 2 out of 3 eligible voters did not bother to go to the polls yesterday, but those who did produced some exciting and, in some cases, surprising results. Not until mid-afternoon today was the race for the Senate in Texas apparently decided. Incumbent John Tower, the Republican, eked out a very narrow win over Congressman Robert Kruger. But Kruger has not yet conceded the election. In Virginia, Republican John Warner ran an incredibly close race right down to the wire with Democrat Andrew Miller. Warner is the apparent winner, but again, Miller has refused to concede. The old lineup in the Senate was 62 Democrats, 38 Republicans. In January, there will be 59 Democrats, 41 Republicans. But the overall numbers do not really reflect the extent of the change in the Senate. We have a number of reports on the election tonight. First, our Senate correspondent, Don Farmer.
It was a bad day in the Senate for liberals. 6 of them lost. The best known, Ed Brooke of Massachusetts.
When we were down in the valley, I did not cry, I cried out. And you answered that cry, and you have shown your faith and your confidence.
Brooke's departure leaves the Senate with no blacks, but it won't be all male. Nancy Landon Kassebaum is the Republican senator-elect from Kansas, daughter of one-time presidential nominee Alf Landon. Republican moderate Percy of Illinois survived, but he's coming back as a born-again fiscal conservative after a big scare in a mudslinging campaign. Republicans swept both Senate seats in Minnesota. Durenberger and Boschwitz dealt a blow to the Democratic Farmer-Labor Coalition, built and nurtured by the late Hubert Humphrey. There is another Humphrey in the new Senate, Gordon Humphrey of New Hampshire, no relation and with no political resemblance to Hubert. This conservative Republican beat Democrat Tom McIntyre, partly on McIntyre's vote for the Panama Canal treaties. Conservative Roger Jepsen of Iowa also parlayed Panama and an anti-abortion stance into victory over liberal incumbent Dick Clark. Thad Cochran won in Mississippi, the first Republican ever elected to the Senate from there. The few liberal victories were highlighted by Bill Bradley, ex-basketball star, now senator-elect from New Jersey. So the Senate has been pushed to the right, and we may see just how far when the president pushes his own foreign policy top priority here, an arms treaty with the Russians. Now a look at the House from Britt Hume.
The Democratic majority that has ruled the House of Representatives by a nearly 2-to-1 margin for the past 2 years is largely intact tonight. With all but 3 races now decided, Democrats have won 276 seats, Republicans 156, a net gain of 12 for the GOP, but a gain far below the historical average for the out party in a midterm election. There will be 2 fewer women in the new House than the 18 who served in the last, but the number of blacks, 15, remains the same. Democrat Charles Diggs of Michigan is among 5 members who won despite serious ethical problems. They also include 74-year-old Democrat Dan Flood of Pennsylvania. Those with ethical problems who were defeated at the polls include Republican Herbert Burke of Florida, convicted of disorderly conduct, Democrat John McFaul of California, reprimanded in the Korean influence case, and Joshua Eilberg of Pennsylvania, under indictment for taking money improperly. Although the Democrats remain firmly in charge here, the new House is likely to be more conservative. The political religion of 1978 is lower taxes and less federal spending. There will be a great many converts to that doctrine when the new House meets in January. Britt Hume, ABC News, on Capitol Hill.
I'll have more news on the 78 vote in a moment. World News Tonight, brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer, who invite you to see and test drive their exciting new 79 lineup, featuring an all-new breed of Mustang and LTD, a new American road car.
Introducing a whole new breed of Mustang, the all-new 79 Mustang from Ford, with a new aerodynamic design, precise handling, and Mustang performance from options of V6, V8, even a turbocharged engine. Mustang for $79, the new breed in 2-door and 3-door models. Capture one at your Ford dealer now.
When I started working here, I told my employer I do not do windows, but I do not say that any longer, thanks to Glass Plus. Glass Plus cleans glass without streaking, and it's great for all my everyday touch-up cleaning all over the house, like appliances, cabinets, countertops, even chrome. Hee, that tickles. Glass Plus really makes Lighthouse work a pleasure because Glass Plus does windows, plus a whole lot more, plus a whole lot more, plus a whole lot more.
It was not just politicians facing voters in yesterday's elections. Proposals of all sorts, from tax cutting to denture fitting, were on state ballots around the country. In denture fitting, one in Oregon, where technicians will now be allowed to make and fit false teeth. For the result of some of the more profound propositions, we have a series of reports. First, economics editor Dan Kortz has a reading on the proposals inspired by California's Proposition 13.
The tax revolt that Howard Jarvis ignited in California spread across the country yesterday, with proposals to limit taxes or spending approved in a dozen states. The public voted to restrict taxes in Alabama, Idaho, Massachusetts, Missouri, Nevada, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Legislators were told to limit spending in Arizona, Hawaii, Illinois, Texas, and Michigan. The only states where all such proposals were rejected were Arkansas, Colorado, Nebraska, and Oregon. But Colorado and Arkansas already have some curbs, so those results don't mean much. The new mood of the country was also reflected in many congressional races. In fact, it was hard to find a candidate who didn't claim to be an economizer. The election results show clearly that the American people have identified government as a cause of inflation, not its cure. So they're saying what we need is less government, not more. Dan Kortz, ABC News, New York.
This is Tom Jarrell. These California smokers can breathe a little easier today. Proposition 5 failed. It would have restricted smokers in public buildings to designated areas. The voters here not only gave smokers a break, but also homosexuals. There was cause for celebration among both professed homosexuals and a large number of non-homosexuals who support their civil rights, when Proposition 6, an anti-gay rights measure aimed at teachers, was soundly defeated. Women who want equal rights experienced a setback in Florida and Nevada. Voters in those states rejected moves toward greater equality. Neither state legislature has ratified the Equal Rights Amendment, and now they probably won't. North Dakota voters decided the danger of losing their doctors and medical care was not worth the risk of slapping fixed fees on their services. Financial limits on medical fees lost. 3 states voted against the expansion of legalized gambling. Florida voters, by about 2-1, rejected a proposal to establish casinos in the hotels of Miami Beach. Florida has gambling on Jai-Alai and rejected casinos. New Jersey has casinos, but the voters there said no to Jai-Alai. Gambling on horses also lost in Virginia. Fear of crime was a factor in rejecting gambling. The law and order spirit was also alive in Oregon, where they reinstated the death penalty after 14 years, and also here in California, where voters strengthened the capital punishment laws. Tom Jarrell, ABC News in Los Angeles.
This is John Martin. In Texas, former Deputy Defense Secretary William Clements became the first Republican governor elected in 109 years, upsetting Attorney General John Hill by only 16,000 votes out of more than 2 million. In Minnesota, Republican Congressman Albert Quie upset Democratic Governor Rudy Perpich. That, plus the loss of both Senate seats, shattered the power of the Democratic Farmer Labor Party. In Pennsylvania, Republican prosecutor Richard Thornburg defeated former Pittsburgh Mayor Pete Flaherty. And in New Hampshire, a former Washington Senator baseball pitcher and state legislator, Hugh Gallen, upset 3-term Republican conservative Meldrum Thompson. Of the 36 governorships up for election yesterday, Democrats won 21, Republicans won 15. The Republicans picked up 6 governorships. They also picked up strength in state legislatures. Yesterday, this was how the states looked. Republicans controlled both houses in only 5 of the 50 states, and one house in only 8 states. But today, they control 12 state legislatures, and they claim control of the Montana Senate, a tie in Pennsylvania's big lower house, and new majorities in the lower houses of Illinois, Washington, and Alaska. In all, the Republicans estimated they had elected at least 250 new state legislators last night. One of them was Aldo DeAngelis of Illinois, a manufacturer who got about $3,000 from the National Party to help him run for the state Senate. He won big, and his party came within a single seat of taking control. So, for Aldo DeAngelis and hundreds of Republican state legislators, the results last night were much better than expected.
This victory is not only my victory and my family's victory and my workers' victory, but your victory and the Republican Party, and all of you should be very, very proud.
John Martin, ABC News, Washington.
This is Sam Donaldson. President Carter told reporters he thought the Democrats had done very well in the elections. And during a phone call to an anti-inflation forum in Hartford, he talked about what he sees as having been the winning issue.
The people of Connecticut have spoken very clearly about tough government budgeting and management with the results of the election yesterday.
Since Labor Day, the president had campaigned in 19 states. Better management and tighter budgets, his message everywhere. However, Mr. Carter's personal intervention didn't always work. In fact, totaling the gubernatorial and senatorial races in the states the president visited, the Democrats came up slight losers, 15-13. That was true nationally. The Democrats lost ground, but only slightly, which allowed both party chairmen, beginning with Republican Bill Brock, to claim victory.
We have reestablished our momentum, and if I were President Carter, I think I'd begin to look over my shoulder and worry a little bit. I think he can now face a very, very serious challenge in 1980 from the Republicans.
For the Republicans to say they got something out of this, it's kind of like the fighter that staggered out of the ring and say, "Look, Ma, I stayed a whole round." So our majorities in the Senate, in the House, in the gubernatorial races, still better than 2-1. The Democrats are the champions.
Champions the Democrats still may be, but why? This afternoon, one of the president's top political strategists blurted out that he didn't know. There seems to be no general theme or reason for our victories, he said, or for our defeats. Sam Donaldson, ABC News, the White House.
ABC News political director Hal Bruno is here with me now. And Hal, I understand that you believe that beyond the individual stories of victory and defeat yesterday, there is another aspect to the election that is very important.
Right, Frank. From the very start of this election, it's been a Republican story. After the beating they've taken in the last 10 years, there was real question as whether or not the Republicans could survive as a major party going into the 1980s. Now, this election is the first sign of recovery from Watergate. It's the first time in the 1970s that they've actually increased their holdings in Senate and governors and in state legislatures. They won at least 7 state legislatures, and what they won in governors may be as important as the numbers, such as getting the governorship in Minnesota and Pennsylvania. Now, they didn't do quite as well as they thought they would do in the House, and there's a reason for it. They couldn't get enough good candidates to go after all the seats that might have been available to them. And one of the reasons for that is that in the last 10 years, they haven't had the state and local offices where congressional candidates get their basic training. Now, if they can do this again in 1980, there's a chance that the Republicans can start to look like a major party. So I'd say that this election may be a small step, but for the Republicans, it's a vital first step in the right direction.
So at the grassroots level, the 78 vote breathed new and desperately needed life into the two-party system.
Exactly right.
Thank you, Hal. Max will have more news in a moment.
The first prize goes to Miss Barbara Smith, an automatic drip coffee maker, and a can of Maxwell House ADC brand coffee. ADC is specially blended and ground for perfect coffee. It gets the most out of these new coffee makers. Real good coffee, Cora. I say a perfect cake deserves perfect coffee.
Maxwell House is good to the last drop. Maxwell House.
Your coconut cake clobbered mine. What's your secret weapon?
I use Baker's Angel Flake coconut. You don't?
Do you really taste a difference?
Judge for yourself.
Tender, moist, more like fresh coconut than mine.
People who compare it think Baker's tastes fresher than any other national brand. So don't scrimp. For a winner your family will love.
Baker's takes the cake.
Baker's Angel Flake Coconut, because fresher is better.
Are you an overdoer? Someone who occasionally gets an overdoer's backache?
If I don't do it, who will?
Then you should know about New Doan's pills. New Doan's is stronger and starts to work faster than ever before, with a medically proven ingredient that relieves backache pain for hours.
Be careful, honey.
Ooh. So if you occasionally get an overdoer's backache, remember New Doan's. It takes the ache out of backache.
The 1978 Isotoners are here. The high-performance gloves by Aris with that famous isomassage action as standard equipment. They give you the Aris touch with sleek, racy lines, real leather strips, and custom colors. One size, so they're great gifts. Isotoner by Aris, the better idea in gloves. Find Isotoner gloves by Aris at stores all across the country.
As we've been reporting, one of the themes of this year's elections has been voter frustration over supporting a bureaucracy people don't feel is responsive to their needs. We have a story tonight about an extreme case of frustration for the people of a small town in northern Kentucky who feel they're really being shortchanged by the bureaucracy. Bob Brown reports.
This bridge over the Ohio River is closed because it's too dangerous to cross. Parts of it are so badly decayed that engineers say it will be more than a year before repairs are finished. Now, the trip across from South Shore, Kentucky to Portsmouth, Ohio, instead of taking 2 or 3 minutes, takes 1 to 4 hours. The time required to wait at a ferry landing, catch one of 2 small auto ferries, and cross the river. For the Kentuckians whose jobs are in Portsmouth, the inconvenience is bad enough. But their hospitals and medical records are also in Portsmouth. Their family doctors practice there. And what they fear as they wait in their cars for the slow ferry crossings is a medical emergency with no fast way across the river. They say their appeals for help to federal and state officials have brought little response, no solutions.
It's just like South Shore just doesn't exist. And we can't understand that. We're hurt and we feel like that we've been badly neglected, which we have. But we're not going to stand by and take it.
The residents of South Shore want the state to restore the emergency helicopter service they were provided after the bridge was closed and before the ferries started operating. The state says it's too expensive, that residents should drive to a hospital 35 miles east of here. Residents believe officials should be able to find a better way.
If we can't get support out of our American people, where the hell are we?
The weekend after this town meeting, an operator lost control of one of the ferries for 2 hours and had to be towed in by a private ferry. 2 ambulances had to wait at the South Shore landing. But the frustrations of trying to get answers from the proper governmental authorities persisted. So ABC News attempted to follow through the requests to see why it's so difficult for South Shore to get a response. More on that tomorrow. Bob Brown, ABC News, South Shore, Kentucky.
Frank will have more news in a moment.
I thought the soup was delicious.
And you just now found out it was an instant soup called Soup Time. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did that bother you?
Yes, it did.
Oh, why?
Because I thought that anything that delicious had to be done from scratch.
So, you say you like this Soup Time instant soup.
I like this soup, but I don't like instant soup.
But I just told you that this was an instant soup.
You told me, but that's the only reason that I think so.
Nestle Soup Time, the great tasting instant soups with home-style stock.
I may go try it now.
7 a.m., Jean cooks a complete breakfast in her Litton Meal in One, the first microwave oven to cook 1, 2, 3 foods all at once. Then an afternoon party lunch, thanks to a solid-state memory that lets her just touch and cook automatically, and helps get Jean, her family, and tonight's dinner ready all at once.
The Meal in One makes every meal easier. See how Litton is changing the way America cooks.
There's a new excitement in small cars. AMC's new Spirit DL.
Let the Spirit move you. Let the Spirit move you.
Let the Spirit move you to beautiful style. Let the Spirit move you to a beautiful ride.
Let the Spirit move you. Let the Spirit move you.
Sporty looks, corduroy bucket seats, and a sleek instrument panel. American Motors has the Spirit.
Let the Spirit move you.
It's getting late, Walt. Best I can do, Mr. Barnes. Well, I'll let you know. Yeah.
So just say, but
I want to buy a beer for Walt.
And pour the king of beers and settle
Walt.
and to please yourself. Cause when you say Budweiser, you've said it all.
Rather than be accused of playing politics on Election Day, President Carter waited until this morning to announce that yesterday he had signed the $18.7 billion tax cut bill, even though he still says it doesn't give enough relief to middle and low-income taxpayers. As both Egypt and Israel talk about signing a peace treaty in the near future, delays seem to keep cropping up. ABC's Ted Koppel has learned that Israeli's cabinet ministers Dayan and Weissman today told Secretary of State Vance that Israel now wants to soften language that ties the treaty to an eventual West Bank settlement. At the same time, Egyptian Foreign Minister Ghali is returning to Washington with instructions to harden that language. So the negotiations are not over, and once again, linkage is the sticking point. Iran's former prime minister was arrested by martial law authorities today, charged with working against the constitutional government. There was sporadic rioting in Tehran, and 3 American homes were firebombed. No one was injured. Max?
Gene Tunney, who retired as the undefeated heavyweight champion back in 1927, died yesterday in Greenwich, Connecticut at the age of 80. Tunney was a superstar long before the word was coined. James Walker looks at the most famous fight.
Gene Tunney held the heavyweight crown for only 2 years, but he was involved in one of the most famous moments in boxing history. September 22nd, 1927, the place, Chicago's Soldier Field. Gene Tunney in the white trunks was defending his title against Jack Dempsey in their second battle of the century. 50 million Americans, almost half the nation's population, listened to Graham McNamee's radio broadcast of the famous delayed count in the 7th round.
See that? Gene caught that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Dempsey comes on through with a terrific right. He's got Tunney against the ropes. Right, and Tunney is down!
With victory just seconds away, Dempsey failed to go to a neutral corner. The referee delayed his count, giving Tunney 4 revitalizing seconds to recover, enough time to retain his crown. Gene Tunney retired at the age of 30, the undefeated heavyweight champion. James Walker, ABC News, New York.
It's been just over 2 weeks since fire swept the Santa Monica Mountains in Southern California, destroying several hundred homes. Stephen Gear's gone back to the area where so many families lost so much.
Malibu has just about everything. Marvelous sunsets, a great ocean, and expensive homes with lovely views. It also has more than its share of raging brush fires. This one, 2 weeks ago, destroyed 200 homes. One of them, seen in this old photograph, was the residence of Steve Steer, his wife, and 2 children. On the morning of October 24th, Steer told us how he and his son Steve had tried to save the house with a garden hose and then had to watch it burn.
My son and I, we walked across the street, sat down, and watched a lot of our life pass.
Now, temporarily, the Steers are living in Santa Monica in a small studio and office. A freelance commercial artist, Steer rented this office a month before the fire. Their home burned so quickly almost all their possessions were destroyed. Yesterday afternoon, the Steer family returned to Malibu to vote. In the Beach Club polling place, one room is lined with clothing donated for fire victims, and Charlene Steer spotted a blouse she thought was appropriate for 18-year-old Shannon, who's a student at USC.
Where's Shannon? Shannon, come take a look at this. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Then the Steers showed us how they have been searching the ashes of their home for memories, with some success.
Oh, save that. I had that from my high school beau, my beautiful silver dresser set.
Seriously underinsured, Steer hopes for a low-interest loan to pay for the $150,000 rebuilding cost. He knows he's more fortunate than most fire victims. Although he's not rich, Steer has been able to rent a condominium nearby for 1 year.
I think people are inclined to think that most of Malibu is very affluent, and it runs quite a spectrum if you live here. You find that a lot of people, their home is their fortune, and a lot of us lost that in this fire.
Steer notes with amusement that the condominium will provide something the family never had before and isn't sure it needed: a view of the home of actress Goldie Hawn. Stephen Gear, ABC News, Malibu.
In a moment, Howard K. Smith will have some advice for the new Congress.
I've got something here you're really gonna love. Trust me, trust me. It's new Wonder Bond glue. With Wonder Bond, you can glue glass, china, plastic, or metal in just seconds. And 1 drop of Wonder Bond is strong enough to hold up to 5,000 pounds. You still don't trust me? Then trust this. It's from Elmer's. Stick with a name you can trust. New Elmer's Wonder Bond.
A second honeymoon at Niagara Falls? After 20 years, we still feel like newlyweds.
Today, denture wearers can stay close with the power cleaning of anti-odor Polident. Polident safely helps remove bacterial plaque, helps strip away stubborn stains, and helps power away trapped food particles with a vigorous effervescent action. That's the power cleaning that makes Polident anti-odor. Anti-odor Polident, so you can stay close.
The 96th Congress is not yet formed, its new members not yet accustomed to being parts of it, but it's never too soon for a citizen to address it, and that I now dare. We must get our national priority crystal clear and subject all else to achieving it. That priority is to increase national wealth, uninflated and without harm to the environment. Economic growth comes first because we need more resources to meet inevitably growing demands. The certain rise in the cost of fuel, the basis of all we do. The need to fend off soaring of Russia to world supremacy. The certain rise in the cost of food in an ever-rising world population and of raw materials in the face of swelling demand from an industrializing third world. And our own people's need for more homes and jobs and help for the elderly, and 100 other costs that are bound to rise. Without increased wealth, we shall steadily decay, fragment in frictions between groups, and our nation could become second-rate. The way to get economic growth is brutally comb out our tremendous waste, subsidies, special benefits, monopolistic regulations, and stimulate investment in innovation to build more and better goods more cheaply and create more jobs. Healthy economic growth is the single priority. There's no close second or third. It alone is the difference between a declining America or a stronger one to lead the free world. Frank?
Thank you, Howard. That's our report on World News Tonight. For ABC News, good night.
From ABC, this has been World News Tonight. Steve Bell brings you the news weekday mornings on Good Morning America. Tonight, Charlie's Angels set sail on a swinging singles cruise where love and murder mix. And Dan Tana's in the fight of his life when he goes after the crime lord of Vegas. Watch tonight here on ABC.
I'm Judd Collins, and you're invited to join us at 6 o'clock for all the local news. Tonight, we'll look back over the election returns and review what happened and how. Mayor Dick Fulton talks about the election and the effect it will have on the mayor's office. There's a swine conference in Music City, and we'll see the Globetrotters taping an ABC television special. These and other stories with sports and weather news on News Watch, the 6 o'clock news on Channel 2.
Confidence in the Goodyear sign. Confidence, we lay it on the line.